All right. We are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. And we're here with our friend, Wendy Oshiro. She's going to
We're
be,
everywhere.
sharing with us. Well, I think it's like almost like a continuing the conversation from our radio show.
Well, we call it Friday Live Fried Rice. And the reason we call it fried rice is that you have the entrees during the week, right? And then you get leftovers and you chop them up and you put them in the rice and you fry them up and you eat them on the weekends.
Oh,
So
I
this is
love
our
that.
fried rice show of our regular show. We're not going to chop you up, but we're just going to go over our conversation that we had during the week during our radio show regarding Adrian or Wendy.
Reverse mortgages.
Is that like when you go in the house, you gotta always go in backwards? When you go to your house, you gotta walk
No,
in
not
backwards?
quite. Not quite.
So I
Oh,
know that not all of our people that are watching or that'll be watching later, probably they did not listen to the show. Maybe just,
yeah.
a few of them. So I think we should do like a quick little recap about Wendy. How did she get into reverse mortgages, and what is a reverse mortgage?
Okay. Well, I guess I'll start with my story. So I used to be a teacher at one time. I was a math teacher. I love teaching about problem solving. And one of the things about problem solving is that you have to look at the whole problem, understand it, look at what your options are to solving a problem, and then you pick the solution that best fits your needs. And so I didn't do that in real life. When I had a situation with my parents and they both lost their independence and they needed long-term care. And as we all know, the cost of long-term care is enormous. I think right now the average is about, they say it's $10,000 a month, but I have clients that are paying, 14,000 and up a month for care in the home. And
Is that for each parent, 10,000 per month? So for you, would it be like 20?
Well, I think when you have when they combine it, I think it might be a little bit cheaper, but for one person, it's like $10,000, so it's quite a bit. And so for me, I thought, I'm a math teacher, did the calculations, and I thought the best way to help my parents would be to sell their house, not thinking about how attached they were to their home, how much they loved being there. I was just looking at the numbers. So I ended up selling their house. I refused. One of the solutions that was offered to me was reverse mortgages. So, one of my parents, I taught school. One of my students told his mom, and his mom called me up and said, "Hey, I have a solution for you," but she didn't tell me it was a reverse mortgage. And then when they came over to the house, and we were doing, talk story first, right, with the St. Germain's chiffon cake in the middle of the table and getting to know each other. And it was all fine until their friend said reverse mortgages. And then I just hit the roof because I thought it was a scam. And I was just so upset that this parent could bring in this person that was telling me about this bad option. And so I ended up refusing to learn about it and sold my parents' house. And after I sold their house, I learned about reverse mortgages. And that's when I realized that it could have been a really good option to help them stay in their home and afford care in the home.
So Wendy, where did you have this bad taste in your mouth about the reverse mortgages? Where was that information or that feeling? Where was that coming from?
When which part of that, the distrust for it or the final acceptance of it?
The distrust or the myth. How come people don't why do they think so poorly of this strategy?
Well, hence what we have here on the bottom of the screen, the reverse mortgage myths. No time present to go into those. So let's talk about those. Because, when you were describing it, it sounds like when somebody invites you to an Amway meeting, but they don't tell you it's Amway until you get there. That's like thinking, oh, by the way, we're here. I know we was here to talk about baby's first birthday, but we like talk to you about one reverse mortgage.
It's so funny. I totally love your analogies. Oh my gosh. But yeah. So The reverse mortgage myths are usually relayed from person to person as just a feeling. Like they don't know why they're saying it's a bad thing, but they just heard it's a bad thing. So don't do it. Don't ever do it. And the things that people think they understand about reverse mortgages is number one, that the bank is going to take the house away. That as soon as you sign the loan papers, it's no longer your property, it goes to the bank, but that's not true. It still remains in your name, which is why you have homeowner responsibilities like paying property taxes and homeowners insurance. You still got to do those things because you own the house, but people just think it's not theirs anymore. And then the second thing people think is that it's for financially distressed people. So, you know how they say they're house rich but cash poor. So
Yeah.
it's only meant for those kinds of people, but it's not. It's actually a really great retirement planning tool. So we're just I'm glad I'm here today. Thank you so much for having me. I hope to change the mindset of people, especially those that might need it.
You
We're
know,
doing some mythbusters today. Some mythbusters
Yay.
on the reverse mortgages.
well, I learned this long time ago. There's these things that are called buzzwords. And buzzwords is that, like here's some other buzzwords, and you guys come up with some on your own. IRA, that's a buzzword. People hear that, they don't even know what the acronym stands for, and they're like, oh, I don't know, that's not a good thing, or that's a good thing. And how I do, buzzwords are like, reverse mortgages are a buzzword. What's another buzzword, Adrian? Or
Oh, we
Wendy?
were just talking about this earlier. Short sales.
Short sale is a
Mm.
buzzword. We
Yeah.
hear it and we don't know what it is. So, how you get that relative, like no matter what you talk about, they know something about that. You get, you're picturing that relative right now. You guys might be watching on YouTube right now. You might be with people. They know
We call it
about everything.
the backyard barbecue advice.
Yeah, we call it
Back
backyard
when you
barbecue.
used to be allowed to have barbecues.
That's like having one backyard barbecue advice and going, oh, I was thinking about having some brain surgery next week. What you guys thought on that? What you guys thought? What do you think? You should actually do that or what? No, that's terrible. It's like going, so a buzzword is this. It's a word that you hear and people say, I know what that means. And then you start asking them some detailed questions and you find out
And
they
they
have
don't
no
know.
idea what the heck that means.
That's
So
right.
help us understand why, help us understand what is a reverse mortgage? So, or where else do you want to go with the conversation, Adrian or Wendy?
Well, it's simply a loan.
Yeah.
It's a loan. So, and it's for homeowners that are at least 62 years old. So, of course, it's more for retirees, and it's meant to help retirees tap into the equity that they have in their home so that they can use it now while they're living in it instead of, willing it to the kids.
Yeah.
So right now it's just really hard for a lot of people to make a go of it, with this economy. And just so many people relying on Social Security as a major source of their income. And while the cost of everything is going up, it's just really hard for people. So gone are the days, I think, when, remember our grandparents, they wouldn't buy anything unless they had the money in the bank. Like they didn't want to take out credit cards or loans for things. They wanted to be able to purchase it without any debt, right?
You know what I say? They were completely crazy because they were doing this completely weird thing like save up for it and buy it when you can afford it. That is such a weird concept. Save up for it and buy it when you can afford it. Anyway,
No, it is. It's strange now. Like that's
that is
novel.
weird
That's
now.
a novel
Oh,
idea.
put them on a credit card and then we figure out how to pay for it later. And later is today. Later is today.
So,
But
so Wendy, I mean, regardless, it is a mortgage and you must qualify, right? So you talked about the age requirement. What other kind of requirements could be expected if someone is thinking about doing a reverse mortgage?
well, of course, the age requirement. If it's a husband and wife, at least one of them must be 62.
Okay.
And you must live in the home that you owned. And
Mm-hmm.
it must be an eligible property. So single family homes are generally real easy to do. When we get into condominiums, it's a little bit more challenging because the condominiums must be either on the FHA approved list or the lender needs to approve the project before a unit owner goes ahead with the reverse mortgage. You
What
also
about
have to
Hawaiian homes? Have you done any in the Hawaii or not allowed?
No, not allowed right now.
Yeah, just
Mm.
letting you know, I'm
Yeah.
coming to you guys from Hawaiian Homes right now. I'm Hawaiian. I live in Hawaiian Homes. You know, Wendy, when you ring my doorbell, you know what the sound it makes? Hawaiian. Anyway, so
Well,
um,
that's too
that's
bad
okay.
that you can't do the Hawaiian Homes reverse
That's,
mortgage.
that's okay. I
Not
gotta
right
come up with a
now.
plan B. Plan B. Plan B.
Yeah.
But let's talk about everybody else out there. I
Okay,
mean,
so single family
Okay.
home is the easiest one to get the qualification for. Is there any kind of like credit or income, or how does that work? How does that part work?
Yeah. So before, I didn't need to look at my borrower's income. We just collected the ID, the homeowner's insurance policy, the mortgage statement if they had one, and you know, that's basically it. And maybe the trust if they had a trust. But after 2008, um, remember when the mortgage bubble burst and
yeah,
everything
Oh
kind of
yeah.
went haywire? So a lot of people lost, so much of their savings at that time. And so the government came up with a lot more regulations to protect consumers against certain types of loans or just lending in general. And so now I think this is a good thing though. So now we have to actually look at their income. And you think, well, why? Like the main thing about a reverse mortgage is that the homeowner does not have to worry about making monthly payments for as long as they're in their home. So what do you care about income, right?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
So the thing about income is we want to make sure that if a borrower gets a reverse mortgage and let's say they spend all of their reverse mortgage money in the first couple of years. Well, we want to make sure they have something still coming in as income so that they can pay for their property taxes and their homeowners insurance, as well as, food and clothing and other things. So that's why we do look at income. And it's not in the same way as with a regular mortgage. We just look at it to make sure they can afford to pay their property charges and then live,
yeah,
not necessarily make a mortgage payment. So we do look at that, and then we also look at credit. And so credit is to check their credit history or their credit habits. Like, do they show a habit of paying their bills on time?
yes,
Because if they don't, then they might forget to pay their property taxes, which is not
Mm-hmm.
good on mortgages, right? So if they show a pattern of forgetting, then what we do to help them is we create what's called a um, life expectancy set aside or a property charge set aside. So out of the reverse mortgage funds, we may take a little bit, like let's say the reverse mortgage is like 300,000. The borrower qualifies for 300,000. And if they're found, maybe they're late a lot on their payments, we might set aside maybe, 25,000 of it or so to as a set aside, and then going forward to pay their property taxes and their homeowners insurance for them so that they can be assured of living in their home at least till their life expectancy age. So that's how we help them.
You keep
But
them organized. You help keep them organized.
you keep
have
That's
you
them
ever,
nice.
safe in
That's
their
a great
homes for
program.
longer.
you know,
Hmm.
Yeah.
they say as we age, we start off as babies, and then we end up, going in that, and then we go back to kind of being babies that need
Right.
a lot of care. Have you thought of like spanking them if they don't stay current on their stuff?
Oh, I
Go to the
scold
house
them.
and
I scold them. A lot of them keep in touch and they
yeah,
like, oh, Wendy, we got this letter from them. I'm like, you gotta read your mail. That's what happens
yeah.
when you don't read your
Open the
mail.
mail. Open
Oh,
the
yeah,
mail.
open the
And
mail.
read it. So set asides, that's a good thing. The other question that I had is, what are the things that because a lot of people think, oh, they're in a reverse mortgage and these things that could happen, grandma gonna lose the house. What are the things that cause the mortgage to become due?
Oh, good question. Good
Yeah,
question. So, as long as the borrower is paying their property taxes, homeowners insurance, and whatever property charges there are,
yeah,
they're taking care and maintaining their home, the loan is not due, right? But
yes,
once they permanently leave the residence is when the loan becomes due. So, if they pass away, or let's say, sometimes they need to go to the hospital and maybe they
or
need
Vegas,
rehab after that.
maybe
So,
Vegas,
huh?
Vegas,
or maybe
Vegas.
Okay,
Vegas.
that's different. Wait,
They
wait,
go
wait.
Vegas and
So,
they don't come
but
back.
well, if it's for the hospital part, like let's say they're out of the house for 12 consecutive months due to physical or mental illness, then the lender is allowed to call the loan due. But
Okay.
and if they go holo someplace, like they go
Yeah.
to Vegas and they come back after 6 months, that's fine. But
Okay.
if they're
Mhm.
gone, for a it's no longer their primary residence, basically, then the lender can call the loan due.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
gotta be there for most of the year.
So they kind of have like moved to Vegas, and then they get their 9 adult kids who know what jobs who have to stay at home because they don't get one job, and they're like,
Hey, don't
"Where's
give people
grandma?
ideas.
No.
Like, where's grandma? Oh, she's in the back. Where? I don't
No,
know.
So
Grocery
so let's
shopping.
let's talk
No, she's
about when,
also
like,
be there.
when they pass away, right? So how quickly does the lender expect this loan to be paid back? Is there like a time frame? Because obviously the home will need to be, prepared to be put on the market, to be cleared out. Is there any kind of guidelines or timelines?
I thought it was
oh,
like
another
8135.
Another excellent question. Um, they need to repay the loan within 6 months
Hmm.
after the date of death. However, if they're communicating with the servicer who is working with them, right, to get everything reconciled, if they're talking to the servicer, then the servicer, they log everything down, the conversations, what the family is doing, maybe to repay the loan. And then if they need more time, then the servicer can actually ask HUD for 2 3 month extensions.
Yes.
So to make it up to a year.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And we are
So like,
doing where hold on, Adrian, we're actually doing one up in Montequito right now. Mom passed away and they have a reverse mortgage. And so people know for real life situations where we're trying to get the ball rolling is because the mortgage balance, correct me if I'm wrong, as time moves forward is growing.
That's right.
So
Hmm.
hmm
you want to get an agent that if you cannot refi and take over the mortgage, get the home sold right away so that you preserve as much of the equity as possible.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's a
But
very good point.
yeah.
Very good point. So that's why we tell them as soon as something happens, start working with your realtor or whoever's supposed to help you,
Yeah.
or
sell the
lender.
house. Yeah. And
Yep.
just take care of it right away. Otherwise, like Attilio said, the loan balance is just gonna keep getting larger.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was
Adrian,
that was my that was my question, was like, you don't
oh, I hate
necessarily need to just sell the home. If you have the ability to refinance into a traditional mortgage, you have the credit, or you can pull equity from another property, you can just pay that
it
back and
all.
That's correct.
hold on to the property as a another alternative.
I
That's
think
correct.
and one of the myths that you guys just addressed is a lot of people think once grandma or dad or mom does the reverse mortgage, boom, we lost the home, which is
Hmm.
not true. It's not
That's
true.
not true. You have
Yeah.
options to either keep the home or you can sell it and then keep the equity, the remaining
Hmm.
equity. Hmm.
Yes. Oh, that's the other myth that people think is that all the equity goes to the bank. That's
No,
not true. That's
that's
not
not
true.
Not
true.
true.
Not
So
true at all.
we just
Yeah.
go through a whole list and then you will you say something and we go, no, that's not true.
You know, one thing, Wendy, I'd really like for our viewers to hear is maybe a couple of success stories and examples of how this product has really been able to make a huge difference in some families, some local families' lives here.
I have a good story. So I had a customer referred to me by a realtor actually, and she was having trouble staying in this really nice condo that she lived in because the maintenance fees were over $800 a month, and she had her own business,
Hmm.
and things weren't as good as they were previously. So she was kind of struggling along, keeping up with all of her expenses. And so we did a reverse mortgage for her. And she was really happy because then she didn't have mortgage payments anymore. So that saved her over $1,000 a month. She had quite a small mortgage. So that's why the monthly payment savings was only about 1,000. But it gave her some peace of mind. But then she told me, she said, Wendy, when I look at this condo and how every year or so the maintenance fees just go up, I know I can't stay here forever, and
Hmm.
I'm gonna have to move. So we said, okay, how about when you're ready, let's look at getting you a new home. So 1 year later, she calls me up and she said she found a single family, single level home in Coco Terrace in Hawaii Kai, and that she was ready to sell her condo, and use a reverse mortgage again, but this time to buy this single family home. So that's exactly what we did. And
Hmm.
so she went from, I think she netted, well, I guess I shouldn't talk numbers right now, but what she ended up buying this, she upgraded to the single family home. It cost more than her condo, but she was able to take the proceeds after paying off the reverse mortgage. She took what was left, she put it as a down payment on this new house, and then she used a reverse mortgage jumbo loan to finance the difference. And
Oh
so
wow.
now, yeah, so she doesn't have maintenance fees, she doesn't have mortgage payments. She's in this beautiful home in Hawaii Kai, and I'm just so happy for her. And she's super happy too. So that's a great story. And people don't know that you can use a reverse mortgage to purchase a new primary residence. And that's another thing too. One of my first customers, um, they had they have a really beautiful home in Makiki, and it's worth actually a couple million. And but their daughter was in a place where she was ready to purchase her first home in LA. And I think it was $1 million home. And so the parents wanted to help her with the down payment. And
Mm-hmm.
so they did a reverse mortgage. And they told me, Wendy, we don't want to wait till we're dead to give our kids the money. We want them to see them use it now
Yeah.
while they need it. So they took out this reverse mortgage and they gave the daughter the down payment. So she was
Nice.
able to get this house. And so there's lots of different reasons why people are doing it. It's not necessarily because they're have financial hardship
Or
reasons.
in a desperate
Sometimes,
situation. Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that
So,
guarantee getting invite for Thanksgiving, Christmas. No, that's how the parents were doing it. But it's like you said, we want to enjoy things. We only have one life to live, and they want to enjoy it now, right? And
mhm.
oh, by the way, I put all your like official information at the bottom. Did I do
I
good? Look at
see.
that. I even put the MMLS number. That's like the number
Oh,
they
thank
read,
you. Important,
all official and
important.
everything. Um,
So
so go ahead, Adrian.
I was just gonna say that. So like I guess traditionally people would do like a home equity line of credit to pull their equity out of the home, right? To help their kids. But if you're over 62, you have this additional option or product to tap into your equity.
Right,
Yeah,
correct. And that example that I gave you about them helping their daughter, they were in their 80s when they did
wow.
it.
Oh,
Yeah, so it
so
was good for
sweet.
them, right?
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen the horror stories too, where the elderly they want to help out. Here's what I do know in life: you don't know what you don't know. Is that true? Yes, it's true for everybody. You don't know what you don't know. You didn't know at the time that you're with your mom and your dad
Hmm.
and your dad was that. Um, I've seen this where we go and help them to sell because they're falling behind on payments. I look back at the mortgage history, and what they were doing was they kept
Mm.
taking all the equity out, and now they can't make the payments, and they're losing the home entirely. Whereas if we could go back in time, and if they knew of the reverse mortgage and qualified for it,
And they talked to Wendy.
and they talked to Wendy,
They called Wendy and got the
life
advice.
life would be in a
Thanks,
different
Adrian.
pathway. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to share with our either the people that are watching directly or know somebody that might need this kind of help, that you would be the person to call, because we're not going to have you on the show because you're crazy. We're having you on the show because we trust Wendy that she would act in the best interest of mom, dad, any other kapuna that might
Wendy's
be.
a professional.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm happy to
Professional.
help.
Yep.
Yeah. And
The
you know
other
what?
thing, go
Mhm.
ahead. Go ahead. No,
Oh
go
no,
ahead.
I'm an educator, right? I
Yeah.
taught in the classroom for 16 years. I'm not a salesperson. So,
Yes.
and I really feel like God put me in the position that I'm in now. So I'm accountable to a
Yeah.
higher being here. So I pledge to take care of my customers. And so I do even keep in touch with ones that I've helped 13 years ago.
Hmm.
In whatever way we can, we stay available to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think the obviously once the reverse mortgage is done, um, probably every once in a while you get a call from the heirs. Hey, what is this reverse mortgage? What is and then you
How
got
does
to
it
come back
work? Yep.
Yeah.
and explain to them what's happening there. And so the other thing too, I think you kind of talked about it as far as helping other kids, but let's say as far as like um, aging in place, if I need to do some upgrades to the home to allow, like, the what do you call that?
The lift, like the lift chairs,
The chairlift,
Ramps and all that.
ramp,
ramp.
the
Hmm.
money can be made available for that.
Oh,
Hmm.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, um, in fact, I'm working with a couple of customers who are doing home modifications now too.
yeah,
I guess a lot of people are in their homes, or people are spending time in homes. So you're looking at your house and thinking, how can I improve this?
yeah,
I have one, she's in her 60s, but she's looking at the ramp thing, like what you just said. She's looking at making her home suitable for her to age in place safely, right?
yes,
So while she's still able-bodied and she says she has her faculties together, she might as well take care of these things now, which is great.
yes,
I love it when people plan. It's so important that people do this while they can. So getting a reverse mortgage will enable a homeowner to access equity to fix up their house, to put in
yeah.
grab bars, to put a walk-in shower, to improve their home so that they can live there safely forever,
Widening doorways, making showers
Yes.
where you can wheel
Hmm.
in as opposed to step up. The
That's
other
right.
thing too, I just thought about it right in this moment is that, do you guys know where the hot spots have been for COVID-19 in our at-risk groups? Do you know what areas that the hot spots have been occurring in? Care homes.
Yep, the
Right.
seniors.
Care
Yep.
homes. I'm not
Hmm.
making this up. You can Google this, check out any media outlet, and they will tell you that the big hotspots for COVID-19 for our most at-risk people is in care homes. So more importantly, I think, I can be dramatic and say, Wendy, you're saving someone's life by giving them a reverse mortgage so they can home shelter or stay in their own home.
Yep.
Well, factual. Because,
Hmm.
and nothing against the institutions that are doing that. It's just you have people in a confined environment with shared care that it's going to
Hmm.
happen. And if you're at home in your own home, that's less likely to happen, right? We know this is
Right.
true. So what else, Adrian?
Right.
So this is a life-saving tool, is what you're trying to say, Attilio. What
Yes,
one of
Can
the
I'll
Go
add
ahead.
something. A lot of people see the reverse mortgage as a last resort.
yes,
They put it off, put it off, put it off until it's an emergency and they really need the funds or they're going to lose their house. So, what we're trying to do at Open Mortgages, we're trying to encourage education. So, finding out about the reverse mortgage before you actually need it. And we actually would like people to even consider, like when they're about to retire, take a look at getting a reverse mortgage to refinance your existing mortgage. Like we know people are paying some $2,000, $3,000 a month on their mortgage, and they really want to retire, but they cannot yet, right? Because they still
yeah,
have to pay this huge debt. So what they can do is they can get a reverse mortgage, right? Refinance the balance, and now they no longer have to make payments. However, they can make voluntary payments. So there's some
Hmm.
people that say, I still can pay a mortgage for another 5 years. Okay, great. With the reverse mortgage, you can still make voluntary payments the same way you do with a traditional mortgage. But the cool thing is, when you're finally ready to retire, you don't have to make those payments anymore,
yes,
right? And every time you make a payment, dollar for dollar, that payment is going to show up in your line of credit, your reverse mortgage line
Wow.
of credit. So if
right,
you need to use it again later, like what if you paid like $2,000 this month and next month you're like, oh no, it's Christmas. I have to go buy presents. You can
yeah,
take
Hmm.
it back out again.
I
So
love that.
yeah,
That's
it's
flexibility.
really
a great
convenient.
it's a great strategy for for people that are transitioning
Right.
from being full-time workers right now, being on a fixed income. Now
Hmm.
I know you talked about educating, right? Like it's never too early to get educated. We had talked about you being an educator and certified to teach the continuing education, right? Especially for
Right.
you realtors out there. I know
Oh,
our
you have a
time is
CE for?
ticking. She does.
I teach a 3 hour CE for realtors and a 1 or 2 hour CE for financial advisors.
Oh,
Right.
good. So for all
Hmm.
your CFAs and your REs out there, you can reach Wendy at this location here with her cell phone and go get your CEs done so you don't be bad boys and girls at the end of the year and not be licensed, and then you got to stop working. So good news there, because I think it's important too, if you either you're the source or the source of the source. Adrian, what does that mean? You're the source or the source of the source?
Say like either you have the knowledge and you are the authority on the topic, or you know who is the authority and you refer to them, right? So we refer to you as the authority on this topic, and we're very we're very pleased to have you today and to be
Aw,
able to share with all of
thank
our Facebook and YouTube friends out there.
Yeah. So for
thank
those,
you.
I call it La La Land. That's just my nickname for it. But it's like YouTube, Facebook, social media, just everywhere that this appears, where this is going to appear. For you folks out there in La La Land, hopefully you've been educated. Those myths have been busted. And either you are that person or you know somebody that needs to. I like, I'm thinking you're like us. We don't want anybody to list their home with us or to have us help them buy a home. You know what we want? Just to interview us and give us an opportunity to educate you. And then we go from there, right? You don't want somebody to just get a reverse mortgage. You just
Right.
want the opportunity to educate them. So,
Mm-hmm.
and and teaching is important. And you know what? I wouldn't doubt, and let me know if I'm accurate on this, is that you can keep them completely COVID safe by teaching them via Zoom in their own home. You
That's
can
right.
Zoom it.
That's we do that often now.
Yeah.
Yep.
And grandma and grandpa, if you don't know how to Zoom, just get your grandkids, tell them,
Mhm.
hey, come over here, help me Zoom. Grandma, you like Zoom? Okay, I'll go help you Zoom, grandma. And then, what's cool about this format is, let's say the kids are in the mainland or all over the place. Can they be on the
They
Zoom?
can join in too.
They
There
can.
you go.
Yep.
So anyway,
Bring everyone together.
Yep.
Well,
thank
thank
you
you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Wendy, for
Oh,
being with
thank you
us
so
on
much.
the Friday Live and educating us even further. And we're gonna also have you again on the radio show to continue the education and the conversation.
Oh, I love it. You guys are so fun. Thank you.
Yeah.
Highlight of my day.
So
Thanks, Wendy.
for you
Okay,
people out
thank
there in
you.
La La Land, her number is there at the bottom. We do know that more of you will be watching this, not necessarily live in this moment, but as we move into the future, if you have any questions or concerns, give Wendy a call. We 100% trust her as an expert in reverse mortgages. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Wendy, you can stay on real quick.